Hi, I'm fourth year medical student Rebecca Howard. And if you've tuned in to the other episodes in our podcast mini series so far, then I thank you. If not, go ahead and check those out. The purpose of this podcast project is to try to address different topics of medical misinformation. And for me, I definitely want to target folks who may need to learn a little bit more about the basics of how research is conducted, how to find reliable information. And so I wanted to do some little mini episodes, just me, to kind of break down some little tidbits in just 5 or 10 minutes and get you some really good takeaways. So today we're going to talk about a couple things that help us assess how reliable a paper is. If you're looking at an article and like, do I trust this? Do I not? It can be really hard to know when you're looking at an online source. Can I trust this information? So let's talk about a couple important things. So first, we're going to talk about the impact factor of a journal where articles are published. So the impact factor is the average number of citations each article in the journal has received over a 2-year period. So someone's read the article, they say, I need this information, I'm going to cite it in my own work because I think it's important, I think it's valuable. And so that average number of citations is a good reflection of how valuable the overall scientific community thinks that the articles in a journal has. So the higher the number, the more important that journal is in its field because its contents has been cited more widely and it's regarded as noteworthy. So in general, an impact factor of 3 to 5 is considered good and 10 plus is considered excellent. And the average journal's impact factor is around 2. Now, to give you an example, in our first episode, we cited an article from the New England Journal of Medicine, and that is a big name in the research community if you're not familiar with it. But it is currently ranked 3rd out of all research journals with an impact factor of 91.245. So compared to our scale that we just discussed, 10 plus is excellent, 91 is like way excellent. So we can be reasonably sure that it is a reputable source. It wants to publish reputable data. That doesn't mean that every article published in journals with high impact factors is infallible. And we can see lots of instances where things published in really big name reputable journals end up getting retracted. So it's not 100% foolproof, but an impact factor kind of tells you what you're working with. Another important concept is peer review. So generally when an article is submitted to a journal for consideration, the editors will send it to reviewers, and these are experts in the field. You don't want some microbiology paper being reviewed by a literature expert or vice versa. You want experts in that field to look over. First of all, you're looking at, does it read well? Do I understand what the author is trying to get across? Is it confusing? And also they are looking at, are there gaps in maybe the experimental design? Is there data that's missing? And so these reviewers will make recommendations to the authors of the paper saying, hey, I think you need to revise this. I think you need to reconsider this. I don't understand why maybe you omitted this data, or I don't understand why you designed your protocol this way. I think it would be better if you maybe gathered more data, if you restructured this, come back with a little more information, and then you'll have a solid paper. So that's a really important part of reputable information. You want to know that experts have had their eyes on this data and agree this makes sense. I agree with how their experiment was designed, and the results based on this are plausible. So generally, if you find an article and you're interested in the peer review process, you can go to the journal's website. They may have an about section, they may have an editorial information section that talks about their review process. Again, we'll use New England Journal of Medicine as an example. I was able to easily go onto their website and find information about their review process. They have at least 5 experts in the field of the given paper to look over the article before it's published. And those recommendations are included. Depending on the journal, sometimes the reviewer's comments and recommendations are published alongside the article as well. So you can keep an eye out for those. It just requires some extra digging. Now, one of the biggest issues that I have with misinformation and access to reputable journals is that so many of these good journals are kind of guarded behind paywalls. They are not easily accessible to the public, and that really is a shame. And it's really no wonder why non-medical friends and family are more apt to share these news articles and YouTube videos and things from maybe questionable sources. They don't have access to the good stuff. I'm fortunate as a student that I have access to all of these journals through my school's library and the medical library, and often doctors have this access as well. They pay for subscriptions to these journals, but the average person can't afford to pay for all of these subscriptions to all these journals just to try to get some up-to-date information about something like COVID or other medical things or scientific things going on in the world. So you have to do a little bit of digging to be able to find these things, which I really think is a shame. But I want to give you some resources that you may be able to try, and you can let me know if they're helpful for you. First of all, PubMed, that's PUBMED, is a really good resource online. Their website, you can search for the topic and different papers will come up, and you can filter your results by a free full text available. So not only can you look at the title and the abstract, which you can do for pretty much all of the results, but you can read the whole paper if you want to. And so that's a really good way to access some papers without having any journal subscriptions. You can also use Google Scholar. I don't know if you're familiar, but you can just Google Scholar. It will come up, then you can search for your topic and you'll get different results that way. Now, I can't vouch for all of the results that may come up. I don't know what kind of journals they're going to have, but in general, you'll be pointed towards scholarly research rather than just news sites and kind of opinion pages and things like that. So that can kind of direct your search. Doesn't guarantee you're going to get the best information. Okay. There are also sites like ResearchGate, where you can search for articles and request access to them from the authors themselves. It may or may not be granted, but you can give it a try. There are other databases of open access journals. I can't vouch for these personally, but you can surely give them a try. I can try to include the links for these in the video description as well. Things like unpaywall.org and openaccessbutton.org. Again, you can get access to journals without, or specific articles from journals without having to pay for them. Sometimes you're requesting them from the author, may or may not work. But again, it's going to be a lot more reliable than these, viral doctor YouTube videos or things that circulate on Facebook. We want to be able to verify the information that we see and be reasonably sure that experts in the field have verified that information as well. So short and sweet, that's all I have for today. I hope my explanation of things like impact factor, peer review, and accessibility of journals has been helpful for you. If so, leave us a comment, let us know. We'll see you in the next episode.